Steve Prowitz. Chris, in a recent video you made brief mention of INCOMM, which is apparently the church's special unit for dealing with computers. In following up on this, very little information is available on this mysterious group, other than survivor stories about a 1995 crackdown wherein INCOMM members were put through a special kind of hell over a leak to ARS of internal Sea Org emails. Can you please explain what went on with this episode, as well as give us more information about the history and current state of INCOMM? Okay, this is a huge topic and one that probably deserves its own video because there's a lot to know. INCOMM is an acronym for the International Network of Computer Organized Management, which just goes to prove that you can make a acronym out of anything if you work at it. So Scientology's, INCOMM, in communication, is the pun there. Scientology's got an entire organization, which is a separate incorporated group called INCOMM, which handles the international network of computers, the computer system, the computer banks, and that sort of thing. And they've been around since the 80s. Hubbard wrote a bunch of policies, which I talked about, I think, in an earlier Q&A about, the routing forms and all these different policies about how to use computers to make Scientology more streamlined and efficient. And in fact, he actually came up with a whole series of issues, which I've never seen, which I've only heard about, called the Chug references or the Chug advices, where he talks about the Duke of Chug, who was some guy on a planet millions of years ago, who LRH talked about because he was describing the efficiency of computers and what computers were capable of back in the day, back on the back in the whole track and in the distant past, right? And what he wanted computers to become capable of for Scientology. He said this whole business of having computers keeping track of phone numbers and bank records and stuff was just silly. It was a very, very low level of technological advancement, and he said computers could run whole planets. And this Duke of Chug apparently was some guy who had been embezzling funds on this planet and got caught by the computer. The computer system saw this money was disappearing from the government funds, and then an equivalent amount of money was showing up in this guy's bank accounts. The computer was checking all this, and so the computer ordered that he be removed from his position, that he be arrested and killed. And the computer figured out who his replacement was going to be and ordered that guy to show up and did all of this. And this was supposed to be Hubbard's ideal of how a computer would operate to take management out of the hands of us, fallible humans, and that the computer could monitor this sort of thing. And this is what he wanted the Scientology computers to do in terms of managing churches. So that was one of many tasks that INCOMM was given back in the 80s, and I don't know, maybe they're still working on that stuff. Pretty advanced levels of programming. Now, as far as this 1995 crackdown, okay, I'm going to put a link below, okay, to the entire story, because there's no way I can tell you the whole thing. But basically, there was a security breach in 1995, and RTC, INCOMM, in the hierarchy of church organizations, you have all your lower level churches and management organizations. And if you saw my video about Scientology's organizational madness, you'll see this whole chart. INCOMM is not on that chart, and the only reason is because there was no reason for me to put them on there when I was explaining the hierarchy. But RTC is up at the top, up in the top corner, you could say. You have this whole structure, and then you have RTC here in the top. INCOMM's right below them. Okay, and INCOMM is not a management organization as such. It does all this computer programming at the orders of RTC, pretty much. And so what happened in 1985 was there was a low-level staffer in INCOMM. His name was Tom Rumelhart. And this was INCOMM is located in Los Angeles at the big blue buildings. That's where INCOMM has mainly been. There is another INCOMM installation, I guess, up at INT or somewhere. I never saw that or went there or heard of that or knew about that. I only knew about INCOMM there in Los Angeles, which is where the main computers were and where most of their work was done. And they were always off on their own dining room, separate personnel. And I had quite a bit of interaction with INCOMM when I was in management because I was a computer geek and I designed a database system to help us keep track of what we were doing with managing the churches and stuff. And this was something INCOMM was supposed to be doing, but they hadn't gotten to it yet, and I did it. And I wanted to go to INCOMM and be at INCOMM and be a staff member there, but I was not qualified because when I was a staff member in Santa Barbara, I took off unauthorizedly and then came back after 3 or 4 days or something. And so because I had blown, I was no longer qualified to ever be trusted to be at INCOMM. So, they wanted me to go there. They knew I had skills, but they couldn't take me. So I worked with them a lot. All right. So I knew some of the guys at INCOMM and I worked with them, and they were, pretty geeky, nerdy people, as you can imagine. And it wasn't a big place. INCOMM was literally 20 staff or something. I mean, it's not a big, huge organization. And I suspect that's because they didn't have a lot of people in the Sea Org who were really qualified to go there, because I don't know why they didn't have more people, because if they really wanted to get that, LRH Hubbard vision of, this management system in place, then you'd think they would have staffed it up. But INCOMM was never really much of a priority that way. So anyway, in 1995, this low-level staffer, Tom Rumelhart, who I don't know him, I don't know much about him, only what I've read, but apparently he was a Cal State grad, he was a computer geek, and he was also very pro-Scientology, but he was on the internet. And he was logging into, in 1995, the internet was not anywhere close to what it is now. It was mostly message boards and chat rooms and things like that. And the World Wide Web didn't really exist as it does now. ARS was alt-religion Scientology. It was a news group area or a Usenet group where people went and talked about Scientology and posted things about Scientology. And this guy, Tom Rumelhart, was posting there anonymously as AB. That was his handle. And he somehow posted a document that was sourced from the highest levels of OSA, from Linda Hamill, who was a high-level OSA staffer. He had somehow gotten this document and posted it on ARS as proof that the church was in the right about some incident that had occurred where the church had actually tried to infiltrate and set up a guy who was anti-church, who was a critic of the church. And the church had run this operation on him to set him up and get him in a lot of trouble. Well, Rumelhart didn't know about all that, but he saw this, he had access to everything. If it was computerized in Scientology, he basically had access to it. But he was only the night operator at INCOMM, responsible for doing basic tech support and backups and things like that. But he had access to the entire kingdom. And so when this document got posted on ARS, the church at OSA went crazy. Like, oh my God, how did this thing get there? This is high-level, top-level security clearance document, and here it is posted for all the world to see. Who had access to this and how could this have occurred? Well, in order to find that out, they did this massive security crackdown, put all of INCOMM and everybody connected with that area under house arrest, and brought in new security guys. And they had, for 4 months, they had these guys under 24/7 watch. And anyway, this is all detailed in that link below, so you can read it there. But it was crazy. I joined the Sea Org. This all happened in February 1995. I joined the Sea Org in June 1995. So I observed the tail end of this security thing, and this was all happening on the 4th floor of that blue building, the blue, sort of odd-shaped building that has the Scientology sign on it in Los Angeles. They had all these guys sequestered off on the 4th floor of this building. And if you went up there, there was a guy on duty 24/7, and you couldn't walk back into this entire wing where they had all these guys sequestered. And it was really weird. Nobody talked about it. Nobody knew what was going on. It was just some INCOMM thing. And it gradually, eventually it just kind of disappeared and stopped. But this was one of the things I first observed when I came into the Sea Org, and I didn't, you're just told, don't question it, don't ask about it, it's none of your business. And you go, okay, and I was just a newbie, so I was like, all right, I don't know anything. And until I got out of Scientology in 2013, I didn't know anything about that. I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know why the lockdown, what had occurred. And I found this link that I provided here, and I read the whole story, and I was like, oh my God, that's what happened. So it's just one of those mysteries solved. So there's a lot more I could say about INCOMM, my experiences with it and whatnot, but I got to be short here, so that's as much as I can give you right now.